Welcome to The Exchange. I'm Faisal Karmali, and today I'm at Weatherskin with President and CEO Brandon Carbol, and I've got Marwan Hilal. He is the CFO of the company, and they're going to talk about the product in the industry that is changeable as the weather, and what you can learn about protecting yourself and your business from surprise problems. But first, hit subscribe, click the bell, and get a new episode delivered to you right away. Coming up on this episode, you fell off a ladder?
And it took me out of the game, so it was time for some innovation.
My biggest fear was if I can't move and I can't use my brain, I'm in trouble for my business. So you've let staff members go because their values didn't match yours?
Yes.
Have you fired a customer because of that?
Yeah.
What if financial,
Financial never works.
No entrepreneur does it by themselves. A lot of business owners are watching this. Many of them can't really explain what they do in a short period of time. I call this the 30-second elevator pitch. So I'm going to start with you, Brandon. 30 seconds. Tell me, what does Weatherskin do and why? Ready?
Ready.
Go.
Weatherskin produces industrial-grade construction coatings and products that are all environmentally sound, that compete with the big players. Better products, better price, better service, and I think we deliver an overall better experience than the bigger competitors.
Look at that. In like less than 21 seconds, you're able to nail down what you do, why. When I learned about your guys' business, I first looked at it and I looked at it from a macro global perspective. So bear with me on how I look at this. You live in a city that's pretty much unknown around the world. You are a smaller company comparisons to what the city that you live in is known for. So you're a minority of a minority, okay? Playing in a global landscape, and you're able to attract international companies to do business with. How the hell do you do that?
With maintaining the quality of the products, we're very specific with what we want a product to do. Medical grade cleaner. We can disinfect the whole office with electronics. And we're very strict on not launching it until it's there. And eventually, when you have that mentality, you win the trust of the engineers, who can sway the big builders, who can then sway the clients building the projects. It's knowing your marketplace and who it is that actually will drive these products into spec for you.
Yeah.
One thing that attracts the global players is being part of global initiatives. Last year, we got on board with what was called the Solar Impulse Foundation. And it is an initiative driven by a lot of big global companies, investors, and entities like the UN. They're the big driving force behind it as well. They wanted to select 1,000 products that will change the next 100 years for this planet, for the better. We went through the process. We had to get audited by 3 auditors in 3 different countries.
Yeah.
So we are now one of the 1,000 labeled solutions.
Wow.
We're super proud of that, and we're going to keep going after things like that, accreditations like that.
Give me a little bit of a background. Marwan, let's start with you. How the heck did you get to this company? Then how did you meet this guy here?
Okay, yeah, it's a long story. So background, I grew up in France in the border with Geneva. Did all my schooling there, and then I traveled a lot the world, did few jobs, construction. I used to be a tattoo artist, but really tried to discover a bit the world in general. So I moved into Calgary back in 2009, built a family here. I was doing construction. I worked for a big builder as a project manager. I did GC myself, GC few projects. But one morning at 6:30 in the morning, I was having a coffee. And at 6:30 in the morning, there's not many people out there.
Yeah.
And there's not many conversation you can have.
You see another guy in Carhartts in the morning, and you ask, what do you do? Because all these projects take so many different types and trades, right? To complete something. We're both talkative. We start talking. We're friendly to one another, and that relationship starts.
And I think after 3 days, we went on a job site together and working on the same project.
By chance, or that was by intent?
No, by intent.
So you met, you went on job site, you were dating to see how it worked out, right? And then it becomes partnership after that?
Yeah, exactly. It's rare to meet people that have the same value as you do, right? Especially in construction, like it's hard to trust that someone is gonna do that little extra,
Yeah.
and that they're gonna be there on time, and the integrity. Right away, I felt like I can trust Brandon. I'm sure he did the same with me. And
How do you go from a general contractor, a GC, to a CFO? Because that's a big jump.
yeah, so I always been, really good with financials. And then in the company, I was the most, number-based person. You don't choose as an owner, I believe, on a startup.
Yeah.
It's just whatever box you fit the best, you end up taking the responsibility of it.
That's right. When we started off, my business partner and I, it was literally writing down all of our strengths
Yeah.
and who does what, because we had different strengths and different areas of opportunities, we'll call them. And so, he would go into certain categories, I would do certain categories that we're strong at, and we would just focus on our strengths. Together, we're a complete superpower, but individually, we have our own strengths and weaknesses, so we combine together. So I like how you kind of said, well, I was the guy with the numbers, so we boxed me into that area, which is fantastic.
And I had no idea what a CEO did before starting the business. And I would say my main role is to stay on the front side of the transaction. So empowering our sales team, our marketing, our advertising. It's staying in touch with the team, having a finger on the pulse of how everybody's feeling, focused on business development, new product design, research testing. I get to be the guy who plays a lot, and comes up with new things and designs new things.
One or the other, and you tell me which one you prefer. Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoor.
Cell phone or computer?
Cell phone.
When you're watching information or listening to information, YouTube or podcast?
Podcast.
Rain or snow?
Snow.
Notice I didn't put sunshine in that one.
I was waiting for it.
A brand new product or an improved existing product?
Ooh, brand new.
Why?
Because it is probably going to catch my attention a little bit more. I'll probably want to scratch that itch, that question of, hey, what is this? And from our perspective, bringing it on, brand new is probably easier to sell and get people excited about.
Financial existing. I would say existing.
Existing from a financial perspective. I like that one. Way to chime in on that one. That was good. One big contract, Mr. Finance Guy, or a whole bunch of smaller ones?
A big one.
One big one?
Yeah.
What about the risk?
No risk.
Really?
Yeah, we got this.
If I talk to my accounting guys, they'll say, spread that risk out a bit more.
Too many places, too risky when it's too many, right?
Yeah.
So much involvement. Each client, each contract, each transaction.
It is a lot easier to ship a full truck to a job site and you're dealing with one person for a month.
Yeah.
Than have 100 trucks go up from this office to
Yeah.
100 jobs and deal with 100 maybe smaller residential clients.
Finding a partner for new opportunities or figure out how to do them in-house.
Figure out how to do it in-house.
What about you?
Ooh, that is situational. In-house, if it is something that our team is capable of, or if we can bring somebody on. I almost think of our strategic partners as in-house sometimes too,
Yeah.
though. So
They are amazing.
tricky.
I kind of go through the core and explore mentality. So I in-house my team, core,
Yeah.
and then when we need to have strategic alliances outside, we'll reach out. But if I can keep it
But
in-house,
first, yeah.
then I know we can have that experience together. It's like a family.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
Knowing the story about the coffee connection that you guys had, do you prefer working early in the morning or late at night?
Me late.
Interesting. And you met him for coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
How about
Me
you?
early in the morning.
Working evenings or weekends?
Both.
Nice. How about you?
Evening.
You want to keep your weekends low?
Europe. Kicks back in.
I love it. That was great. That was awesome.
I also have a construction background and from project management. It was a service-based business. I did very well with it. Problem with a service-based business, people want you tied to your service.
Yeah.
So there's no way to expand and grow that model. And as the body slows down, the capacity slows down to be out there doing physical manual labor, for me at least.
Because you had an injury.
I did, yeah.
You fell off a ladder?
As dramatic as that sounds, I fell off like the second step of a ladder.
Okay. Yeah.
Onto a planter.
You you could have said the very top,
Yeah,
we would have
yeah.
just believed you. But yeah.
And you know, it had an effect on my back, on my tailbone, and it took me out of the game. So it was time for some innovation, looking at what could we use in construction, what's missing, where can we find it? And it turns out we could find it here in Canada. After looking all over the world, we found our solutions locally and grew our business locally.
It's amazing how when you go through something like an injury, how that shifts your mind in your business as well. And it carries over, because from manual labor to when you get an injury, that's going to make a big impact. You know, in my situation, you guys know I play hockey and so forth. I've had my knee injury and a concussion all in the same weekend. Oof. And I actually had probably 6 or 7 different doctors coming in at me to try to fix me, right? My biggest fear was if I can't move and I can't use my brain, I'm in trouble for my business. And so all of a sudden, out of either fear or this instinct in me said, I better make sure that everything is running, the processes, the operations, not only from a technological perspective, but if I get hit by a bus, this thing better run for my clients, for my team, for everybody. And it really got me scared. What was the fear like when you fell, hurt your tailbone, and it made you shift where you end up going for a coffee and meeting this guy to start up a business?
Change is uncomfortable, you know, because it's a fear of unknown.
Yeah.
What's around the corner? I didn't choose this. It happened. And I decided I was going to embrace that and make some risky moves at the start because I really believed in the idea. I went downtown and rented a space that I had no capability financially renting, really.
This story.
And there was nothing in it except a whiteboard and a corkboard. And I was like, a business needs to come out of this.
The story is you that I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you rented an office space in downtown for 3 days.
It was like a year.
So you rented office space for a year.
Yeah.
You had a whiteboard in there.
Yeah.
You brought people in to kind of go through on this whiteboard and try to figure things out?
Yeah, well, the business plan. Let's build a business plan. Let's figure out a problem that we can solve. And then, hey, we have to solve it. Even if we have to stay up all night, even if we have, no matter what we have to do in terms of sweat equity and that drive forward, it had to be there because of the situation that we chose to put ourselves in. You know, it was all or nothing.
Were you in this 1 year office space whiteboard strategy?
Oh yeah.
Tell me your experience of where you're walking in, because I'm taking the assumption here, this is your idea, you book it, and then you bring them in? Or was this both of your guys' ideas saying, we should do this?
It's well, the office space was me. Hey, I've done something stupid, and I put myself in that corner and dragged some people into the corner with me, and we just made it happen. I think there has to be that little bit of risk element and a heck of a lot of perseverance to make it happen, and then a lot of trust if you're building a team, and you got to make it fun because it's not always going to be easy, but if you can make it fun and an enjoyable space to be at and enjoy the process, and you're never working.
With Brandon, he's great at business development, so as soon as he has an idea, everyone just starts working on it. You know, it's exciting.
Let me tell you a story which is somewhat similar to what you guys did with the office space. So every single year, my business partner and I, we go away from Calgary when we're allowed to. We would spend the weekend, and we would call this a Hemingway moment. And the Hemingway moment works like this. And we attribute this to Hemingway. It may not be his idea, but this is what we've learned, and so we're going to attribute it to him. Hemingway used to write some great stuff. And so his concept was to write drunk, edit sober. So literally, my business partner and I would go away, so we're not under any distractions whatsoever, have a few cocktails, and we would write every single business idea we can think of to help and solve the problems that we see out there. We don't judge it, we don't critique it, we don't take anything off the table, nothing. The next day, we come back without any cocktails in us and take a look at the whiteboard and say, we can do that. We can't do that. That's illegal. Get that off the table. You know, things like that, right? So we're like, wow, those were the ideas that we brought up. And from there, we've always said, when Dave and I are 85 years of age, sitting on a rocking chair on our front porch, we're going to remember the experiences along the way. So let's make the best experiences for our clients, for our team, and for ourselves. So I really got drawn in when I heard the story about the office space. I thought it was 3 days, a whole year.
It moved quick, it grew quick.
Yeah.
You know, it was probably the first 3 months that were the treading water, wondering, is this gonna work? And then we had our first large contractor come on, buy a whole territory from us, a region to represent. And from there, we built a licensee program. So we actually have Weatherskin now in Hawaii. We have Weatherskin in Florida. We have Weatherskin in New York. We have Weatherskin in New Brunswick. But it all started with that first customer. Eye candy. This can be a finish for your floor. You move it around.
That looks so cool.
We'll show you a couple of.
Let's do it. You know, this reminds me now, my kids were a lot younger, they would write on the walls and stuff. I wish I had this. You're coming out with a new product. You have to go through a whole bunch of approvals, regulatory, standards, safety. How do you get through that? And then what if the numbers don't work? What if financial, like, I don't know if this is a good return on investment in the short run. Well, this has to will pay off many years from now.
Financial never works. So budget to create a new product, it's a risk. Now, being a solution-based company is always we see the problem and the problem has to be major to be able to put ourselves in risk to develop a new product and take the risk on that. But because the problem is so big, then the solution automatically makes sense, right? So for example, the fires in BC and California, in Australia, we've been seeing so many people like suffer. You know, what's the solution is to create an amazing fireproof product, easy to install, not toxic because it's all rural and the forest already suffered enough. Can you put a price on that risk, right? It's just kind of that mentality always.
So when you're taking into account a different product, a new idea, going through all this work, the impact has to be there in order for it to be worth maybe not the financial gain right away. Is that fair to say?
Exactly.
Or demand. You know, there's a sector where there's a lot of demand for a high performance product that it's not there yet. We go by square feet, right? Mm-hmm. How many square feet of coverage is there in North America, globally, that could use this new product, this new technology? Okay, well, it's worth it.
You both have been in business for yourself, but you've also been working for somebody in previous roles. What was it that drove you to say, I'm going to start doing this for myself?
This one, I think it's an easy one. I used to work for someone and I told him like, hey, if you step down and you let me run your company, you will make more money. Just move into Hawaii and just let me do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It is so hard to meet a company that will work with your values. So when you want to provide top-notch service or world-class and have a good environment and integrity and protection and look after each other, it can't work when you work for somebody else.
I worked for a little bit for other people, but I always thought that a boss should help you do better so that you can therefore do better for them and their business that they're trying to grow. And I didn't have that experience. And I thought I would rather build that experience for others and I would enjoy it a lot more, you know? If I have this idea of what running a company is and how I would like it, well, the only person who's gonna make that for myself is me, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great successes of Weatherskin is we haven't fallen into a lot of these tropes or these ideas that people have told us, this is what you have to do, you know, because there's a lot of that. Where we draw the line is our values and how we treat people.
Yeah.
And we said, no, I don't think we do. We're trying to build something here that's maybe a little bit different. Maybe you don't understand it. Spend enough time around us and you will.
You've been talking about impact. You've been talking about trust, integrity. What are the core values of Weatherskin?
We'd say protection. If you are looking out for the best interest of the building you're coding, the client you're coding for, your partners, your employees, your business partner, the person who's putting it onto the wall, if you are looking out for their best interest, protecting them, that ties together the values really well. The integrity, honesty, the perseverance, because you need those things in order to ensure that protection. You need to go and test and pay for testing and do a lot of real world examples on a coating before you go put it on somebody's house.
Yeah. How did you guys determine that the core values that the two of you share is what you guys call protection?
A lot of meetings, and we read something that the how, the what, and the why you do what you do. And so we both question each other's and just come up with the protection together by saying what is the most important, what moves you every day.
So you went through a process to uncover what both of you see as the what, the how, the why of what you want to accomplish.
You bet. Until you figure out your why, you know, it's hard to do the elevator pitch. It's hard to explain to another human being what is your company until you know why it is you do what you do.
When you know why you do what you do, you can always go back to that. Daily, you get put on a test. Are you going to do it the easy way? Are you going to do it the hard way? So knowing why you do what you do, you go back to it very fast, right? Like on a business meeting, we would just say like, no, we have to do the right thing. Why? Because we protect each other, we protect the client, we protect our name, we protect the brand.
So you've let staff members go because their values didn't match yours?
Yes, yes.
Have you fired a customer because of that?
Yeah. We had not a customer, a licensee, a representative maybe that we felt didn't represent the brand as we wanted it to be represented. They had their own plans, they had their own ideas. That's awesome. But we just don't attach the Weatherskin name to that vision. Our vision is the protection. If that overarching goal isn't there and that overarching body of ethics and principles and values isn't there, it's very easy for somebody to say, I'm doing this for this other goal or this other opportunity, or I'm going to drive my project in another way.
Yeah.
Where if you know that your team is on board and you just continually build that culture of your values in all the relationships in your office and in your business relationships, you don't have to be watching everybody all the time to know that they're on the same highway that you are.
Fantastic.
And when it comes to our team, these people know more than we do. We hire them because they know more than we do in their certain areas.
How hard is that? Because, you know, we hear about that a lot from business gurus and stuff. Make sure you got the right people on the bus and make sure that they're ones that are driving the bus forward, all that stuff. But sometimes I catch business owners' ego kick in and they think they know everything. How hard is it when an employee, someone you're paying, says to you, I know more than what you do, boss, and here's how we're going to do it?
I don't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead?
Yeah, I would say go ahead, right?
I know that I'm not skilled in these areas. You know, we have a guy who runs our operating system down there on QuickBooks who's done 5 million transactions in his life. Why would I step in and tell him how to do that? You know, I've done 5 and screwed up 3 on that software.
Yeah.
I've got a salesperson who used to do $1 million sales in another industry who just is so experienced and so passionate about building relationships and delivering quality. Why would I get in front of him? They know how to do it. I'm here to help. I'd rather help them and empower them to take us further because they will take us further.
You know, it's part of the growth too. You would not hire someone if you didn't need that position to be filled.
Yeah.
So you just give that responsibility to someone else and they should be doing it better than you can, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise you would be doing it.
I'll be doing it
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
That's right.
When I joined Weatherskin, my background was a professor. I worked for my prime minister of my country. I worked for International Monetary Fund. I was director of academy. I sat down with them. I had the most pleasant interview of my lifetime. So I came here just as an office manager. Right away, I started getting into sales, into, interviewing people, doing HR things, anything, you name it. We did it here because we are a small team, right? Yeah. If we all have a bad day, we look at each other and we come up with solutions. Last month, it happens that I lost my mom. Those guys were 24/7 at my door on my phone, checking on me. Tell me a company who does that.
So let me see if I got this right. First of all, they told you about them and their business. So he's like, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Just prove yourself to me, right?
Right. And then they started showing you, and you were experiencing different parts of the business.
Firsthand.
So now the experience is matching to what they're saying. And then when tough times came for you personally, they were there for you to make you feel a part of the family.
Absolutely.
So it's all part of the word integrity.
That's my.
Yeah?
You took the word out of my mouth.
Beautiful.
I believe in the product. I believe in their honesty.
Yeah.
And in their vision, because they have this amazing intelligence and vision in the way that they built the business from the ground up.
So I would love the feeling of my team, my staff, to have that feeling.
Absolutely.
Give me advice on what I should do with my team, so my staff have that feeling.
It's all about trust in the end of the day. I trust that no matter what, those two guys have my back. I trust every day when I come here that I'm gonna have the best day of my life. And I do, every day I come here. I go to bed feeling so excited about my next day, and I mean it.
Look at that.
And my family is as excited as I am because they saw how burnt out I was from every previous job that I worked in. And I come here and I feel rejuvenated, I feel good, I am empowered, I say what I feel, and they all can hear me. Doesn't matter if I have the best idea or not, but they give me a chance.
Wow. Okay, so this is the stuff that I'm talking about. Like this, when I talk about what business owners need to do, they're helping other business owners. Remember, there's 5 P's to a successful business. There's of course, your price, of course, your passion or your purpose. Of course, there's a process you need to go to, or your product and service. But that first P I always talk about is people, and not just your customers, your team. And your team, if they can feel like this, you've won. You've won. Who does the hiring between the two of you?
Both.
So
Yeah.
both of you will interview the candidate?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah.
Who makes the decision? Who says, yes, we want this one?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you meet someone who used to work for a prime minister of a country, part of the International Monetary Fund, with that kind of pedigree, that kind of skill set, that CV or resume? How do you meet that kind of talent?
I say it's meant to be. Dorina just showed up in our life. We had a business advisor that recommended her. They knew her personality and our personality, and they just told us like, hey, you guys will be a perfect match.
Oh, you had a matchmaker.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
meant to be.
I think good connected people will attract and introduce you to other quality, good connected people and experienced people. You just have to talk a lot and shake a lot of hands.
Have you ever hired somebody without a full interview where you're posting the job and every candidate come in and then filter from there? Like, have you said, that's the person I want for this job?
Yeah. All our employees are hired like that so far. Yeah.
Faisal, sometimes it's a backward interview. Sometimes it's like, how could you build a system that will improve Weatherskin? How, this is your area of expertise. How would you teach us? What would you build?
Yeah.
If you had creative control in this area of a business that's a startup and it's new and exciting, what do you get excited about? And how could you bring that in? What would it take? That gets them excited too. There's some creative freedom.
Yeah.
We're not here to hold people down. We're here to all grow together and have fun together.
I feel you. Like, you got to have that connection, that filter in advance saying, I want that one.
Especially when you're working so close with each other. Especially when you have this tight bond. You don't want to hire someone from the outside. It can create more damage than bring goods, right? So even Dorina is a funny story. The day she could only come for an interview on his birthday, but we already had the plan of getting a cake, and my daughter was here in the office to celebrate his birthday. So her interview was so comfortable and so connected. Like, you just connect with people.
That's a great interview.
That
Birthday
she
cake on an interview. That's fantastic.
She stayed for the birthday cake.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Directly,
awesome.
walk into the family.
And that now plays into our life on such a different scale. We love our strategic partners. We treat them like they're part of the bigger Weatherskin family.
ZS2 Technologies is their CEO, Scott Jenkins. They got a really cool machine over here, a frog wire, and they're cutting our logo.
So this is Kermit, named after, of course, because it's a frog wire.
There's a lot of pieces. You can't offer everything, but what part of the solution that you can offer is maybe somebody else's part. And when you bring it all together, there's the full solution, right? We have coatings, we have all these sorts of really cool materials. What do you put them on?
Yeah.
Who puts them on? You know, you need to know these other players. It's like a hardy board, but they're siding. Calgary is brimming with all sorts of new companies that are coming up with these new technologies, these new build systems, and this new mentality in business of sharing with one another and lifting each other up and empowering one another to succeed. I love that about everybody that we work with.
Yeah, he said something really important. I just heard it from someone that says, you guys empower so many people. And I think that word comes back even to the coffee shop. It's let me empower you and you empower me with what you do and what I can provide, right? Empowering is so important. Same with the strategic partnership. Let's empower each other.
Business owners can learn a lot from the two of you. So look in that camera right there and give them 3 tips that you think they need for their future.
I would say never give up. Look back to your operations and where you can better yourself and your company, and have fun. Try to have fun as much as possible.
I would say do not be scared to change, if it's a long-term change or it's on the fly, if it means that it will get you to your vision quicker or give you the ability to get there, but don't change the vision. Stick to that, have plan A, don't have a plan B.
Okay.
Always revisit things that seem like failures. If you know it's part of something you need to do to grow your business, you're gonna attempt to build that system or process 10 times, you'll get it on time 11th. Don't lose faith. The most important thing is value the relationships around you. That's where every good gesture, every good act of where other people can build you up, you will find by building them up, by being of service to them, by helping them achieve their dreams and goals. So always know what is it that they want to do, the people around you, what is their vision, what is their dream, and ask every day, how can I help them?
Brandon, Marwan, so great to have you guys on the show. And thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you at the next exchange. I really think that business owners need to push business owners.
Yeah.
And so if I can do whatever I can, whatever big mouth that I have, I'll do it.
That acknowledgement, it's nice.
Yeah.
You don't hate it.
Oh, hard. How hard way.
That's real business.
Yeah, I really show other business owners that, hey, we were all there.
Yeah. It's the employer who puts on the mask. It's the employer who has to spend all those hours and not take a paycheck and take care of everybody else before they take care of themselves.